Hey, welcome back, friends. Lots of things to catch up on with you here, and then we've got a whole nother session to get into. If you're not familiar with this channel, I'm investing money that I win at the poker table into the stock market, and I ran into this problem where we've overinvested. We've done too well to start the year, and so now I can't contribute anymore until next year, which then brought up the question of, well, what should we do? What should we do next? Account balance as of right now is up to $28,500. Even though I didn't contribute anything to the account, we had some good trades and had a couple of things go our way that were really positive. The majority of you in the feedback said, hey, take trips and fire some tournaments. And I like that thinking, but I got so many different responses. And then I got this comment that I think just wrapped things up really nicely. Yeah, let's do everything, but since there was more consensus for the trip and for some tournaments, let's put a little more weight into that. So maybe we'll make most of the sessions about going to play a tournament, going to travel, but occasionally we're going to mix in some collectibles or something else to try to play for, to just kind of mix it up and have a little bit of all of that. So we'll be doing some unique investing this year, and I still want to maybe try to find some more ways to be charitable with our money, as we've already maxed out the account. This is a lot of talking. You came here to watch some poker. Let's get to the poker. We're headed to Quest. Now, Quest still won't let me record at the tables. There's something about free advertising that they're just not, they haven't quite come on board yet. Something tells me they're going to come around eventually and understand that not paying for advertising is a good thing. Quest, if you're out there, if you're listening, let's make this work. Let's make this work, baby. Come on.
What do you think the chances are of a guy like you and a girl like me ending up together?
Not good.
All right, so these hands are going to be a little different. I'm just going to recount them for you. But, man, there were some good ones and some pretty interesting spots.
I'm never so packed for the stack. Never lied on the rap. Got a bag from the way that I write it. Queen looking Tyson. Do that ass survive. Doing 80 to the house. Then I hit her to the sky. Change haters on a tirade. Talking to the crib in the face. Be still. Like that.
First hand of the session that's an interesting one. I'm putting on the $6 straddle in a 1-3 game. And I've got a table full of people that are fairly short stacked, playing fairly passive. I know quite a few of the people that are sitting here that are regulars, so I'm not expecting any like big 3-bets or big action. It's a lot of kind of straightforward ABC poker. The hijack limps, the cutoff limps, and the button limps as well. They're all fairly short stacked, between $90 and $200. I look down at Queen Jack offsuit. It's not a super premium hand, but what I am doing is I'm blocking a lot of the premium stuff. They're limping for $6. I could take down quite a bit of dead money here, and if I do get called, we're probably not in that bad a shape based on what players are doing limping. They're probably not going to want to call off for all their chips. I think it's time to get aggressive.
Let's leave it all on the field today. We number one up in here. We the best of the best of the best of the best. Don't never let nobody tell you different. Failure is not an option.
I just rip it here because even in a flip, I can't be in that bad of shape based on what they're doing with just a limp. I get one caller, the $90 stack. The flop looks really good. King, queen, queen, and I'm thinking I might have got lucky here. Turn is a 10, river for the ace. We end up with a straight, but it's not perfect. I mean, my opponent can have a full house if he happens to have that last case queen. He does not. We're scooping in some chips to start the day. Next up, I get Queen Jack of Hearts on the button. Fairly similar hand. I get two limpers in front of me. There's no straddle on this time, so there's just two $3 limps, one from early position, one from middle position. I make it $20 to go, and the early position player makes the call. Flop is a very dry Jack 3-3 rainbow, so really not much to be concerned about. Really good flop for us. Opponent checks it over, and I'm going to bet $15. I'm really just trying to get, eke out a call from, say, pocket sixes or something like that. Just a hand that barely has value but doesn't want to go away for $15. My opponent now check raises. He makes it $50. Now, a casual player doesn't do this very often. However, I went really small, which sometimes induces that raise where people have nothing, but they just feel like, well, I can steal this pot if I just go for it here. I'm going to go ahead and make the call. He may also just have a jack and be saying, hey, I'm going to take this down right now. Turn is the 4 of hearts, which doesn't really change much. My opponent now leads into me for $55. So this is feeling less good, but the bet is really small compared to the pot. And I don't feel like I can just go away with top pair here. I'm fairly exploitable. Now, I will say, I'm already starting to get suspicious that I'm beat. So this will really depend on his river action as to what I decide to do. I make the call here. Let's assess the river. River is the king of hearts, and it doesn't slow my opponent down. He now jams. I feel like I'm just smoked every time. I don't think he's really doing this with a jack very often. I think this is likely a 3 more often than anything else. Just like maybe that ace 3 that decided to limp. Ace 3 suited, something like that. That limped, decided to call, and now sees the flop, makes trips, and decides, hey, I need to check raise and try to get some money in there. I don't think that he has any draws really based on what the action has been up to this point. And so for me, it's a pretty easy fold. Ask him later if he had it. He said that he did in fact have the 3 as he was leaving the table. No reason to like bluff at that point, right? If you ask someone right afterwards, they're probably not going to tell you the truth. If you ask them as they're leaving a session, sometimes I'll just say like, hey, can you hold on to that one in your head? I want to ask you about it when you're leaving. And so, like, I'm not a guy I'm playing with on a regular basis. I'm not expecting him to be, like, lying to me here or anything. I think he was telling me the truth. I think he really did have a 3. And based on the action, it does make sense. Some time goes by until I get another playable hand. I've been putting the straddle on, and now the table's starting to catch on as well. Not everybody's doing it, but a couple of other players are as well. So this one happens to be straddled. It folds to me with ace-queen offsuit in the hijack. I make it $25 to go. And the big blind makes the call. We're off to a flop where I have an overcard and a draw on King Jack 4. I'm going to continue to bet this one. I bet $20 when it gets checked over to me, and my opponent makes the call. The turn is absolute gin. I hit the 10, so now I have the straight. Now the goal is to get paid. I'm going to put in $65 here, sizing up slightly from the flop bet, see if we can get a call, hoping that he has like a good top pair or maybe even like some kind of 2-pair combo. That would be ideal. Maybe a pair with a draw as well. So I put out the bet of $65. He makes the call again. River is another jack. That's not ideal, but it might make him think that, hey, my king or whatever, maybe I'm beating like there was another 2-pair and now I'm ahead of it. I don't know. I'm hoping he can stick around. He doesn't have a ton left, so I decide to jam. He has about a pot-sized bet remaining here. He thinks on it for a bit, but he does let it go. And I'm noticing at this point that the table has just been very tight in general, not making a ton of calls. And so that's starting to stick in my mind that maybe I want to turn up the aggression just a little bit. An early position player who's been limping a lot to see flops now raises to 12. Early position and raising says to me that this is a fairly strong hand. Now, most players just opening to $12, I'm not going to worry about it. But this player in particular had basically just been taking any hand to the flop. That means it's going to be more weighted towards those premium pairs, stuff that's going to call if I 3-bet. When it comes around to me, I have pocket 9s. I would normally be interested in 3-betting this in position. However, based on the game and knowing that no one's 3-betting without the goods, I'm just going to call here against this kind of a player and see if I can spike a set. I don't. We end up going 4 ways to a flop, but the flop is really interesting. 8, 8, 7. So I have an overpair and everyone checks to me. I think I'm incentivized with the overpair here, nobody leading into the flop, to go ahead and put some money in this pot. I bet $25 and the cutoff makes the call. We go to the turn, which is a 6. Doesn't change a ton. I'm not in terrible shape. I still have the overpair and I'm open-ended. Opponent checks to me. I'm going to bet one more time. This time I bet $60 and he makes the call again. River is a 7. Not an ideal card. I'm not super stoked. That was one of my value targets. Even worse news, Villain now shoves his stack. It's about 1-to-1, just a little bit less than the full pot size bet. Gross spot. I really didn't want to see a bet like this, especially on a card that I expect them to have a fair amount of the time, where they have the one pair that's not an 8. Perfectly makes sense that they would go call, call, and now jam, trying to get value. Afraid that it would go check, check, which pretty reasonably it would. I end up making the fold. Opponent does, in fact, flip over a 7, show us that he had the goods. So it was the right fold, but unfortunate the way it ran out. I'm in the straddle again at Quest, and I need to just explain. This is the only place I've ever found this rule. But Quest gives ultimate last action to a straddle. So what that means is like there can be any amount of action in front of you. It will jump over you in the straddle. If there's a raise, like let's say it goes, I make it $6, somebody makes it $20, somebody else makes it $80. Rather than it coming to me with an $80 raise, it jumps over me, goes to the original raiser. All the other action is decided, and then I get ultimate last action to decide if I want to call or raise. So it's really unique rules, never seen it anywhere else, but that's important in this hand. I'm the straddle, and there's some action in front of me. The action in front of me goes like this. Call, call. A raise to $21, which is a weird sizing given the action in front. Then another call and call of the 21. It jumps over me. One of the 2 original limpers calls. Unbelievable that one of them was able to call 6, but then fold when there was that much money on the table, but that is what happened. One of the players who made the call has about $50 left. Everybody else is fairly deep. It goes about 500, about 500, and another player to my right who has 225. Basically what I'm thinking is if I go really big here, it's going to be hard for anybody to call other than the $50 stack, and if we're flipping with ace queen, I'm fine with that given the price. So what I do is I make a raise to $225. The player with $50 left, sure enough, they do just throw in the call. It goes fold, fold. I'm not expecting the player who raised it to 21 to have much of a hand, because if you had a real hand, let's say he had like aces, you're going to go way bigger than $21. You don't want to go like 4 to 5 ways to this flop, and you've already got 2 players that limped and you're giving them a crazy good price. I think his hand is more likely a suited connector kind of a hand, maybe 7-8 suited, something like that, where you're like, hey, let's build this pot a little bit, or maybe it's ace-5 suited or something like that. Hands that players aren't going to call off half their stack to see a flop. He folds. Fold from the other player who has 500. This player with 225 ends up making the call. I purposefully covered her stack so that if she decided to get in, it would be for all her chips, and I sincerely did not think she was ever getting involved. I'll show you the photo here. I can't film, but I did have to take a photo of this because I could not believe what she called with. When I saw those cards, I thought, this lady's nuts.
I'll take a pound of nuts. That's a lot of nuts!
Really liking this spot here, as I am at least a 60% favorite versus the lady who is all into my right. I don't know what the other player has, but I'm feeling pretty good until the flop comes down. King 3 deuce. I do not end up improving, and she ends up winning with the good old King 7 suited for every chip that you have. At this point, I have to go to work, which means after that King 7 suited hand, I'm booking a loss of $195. It doesn't feel good to end the session that way, but with the power of editing magic, we're on to day number 2, and we have pocket fives. An opponent in the hijack makes it $12 with pocket fives on the button. Again, I'm just going to call the $12 and see if I can flop a set. He has been limping a lot. When he has the goods, he's actually raising, so I think he has a pretty decent hand here. I'm hoping to see that third 5 on the flop, and sure enough I do, but not only that, it's a king high flop. Fantastic news for us, and my opponent continues. He bets $15. Now, I'm not going to slow play this. I want to get the money in right away. We want to try to commit as much of his stack as we can. If he has something like ace-king, let's get all those chips. I raise it up to $50. Unfortunately, my opponent must not have had a very strong king. If he had a king at all, he just ends up making the fold. Now I have a weird hand for you. Now, typically, like, one of the strengths of my game would be, I would say, that I can hand read fairly well. Not perfectly, but it's one of the things I can do better, right? Take the information, get a decent idea of what my opponent's holding, and then make decisions based on that. In this spot, I got really lost. It was very hard for me to identify where my opponent was at. I'll explain that. But before I do, this is the Fastroll poker hand of the session. If you don't know about Fastroll, Fastroll is the easy app that you can use to track your live hands at a poker table. Not only does it let you track all of your hands, you keep this nice big database of all the different spots you've been in, and then the beauty of this is it's meant to be shared with others so that you can improve your game. Now, if you've never used this app before, go download it from the App Store, and when you're signing up, use the code cardsandcap, all in capitals, during sign up, and you'll get a month for free from my guys there at Fastroll. The beauty of this app is once you're using it, it's really easy to review your hands, and you're going to get invited to be part of the Fastroll Discord, which allows you to talk with the Fastroll community, other poker players who are taking their game serious and want to get to the next level. Plug some leaks, increase your earn rate. It is worth it. Trust me, I'm not just trying to sell you on something. I find it extremely helpful. Before we get into the hand, please, at the end of this thing, tell me what you would have done, because this was a really challenging one. I got a ton of different opinions, and I just want to hear your thoughts. New player sits down and makes a raise to $10 from early position. $10 a little bit on the small side, but not totally unheard of for this game. It gets around to me. I'm on the big blind with ace-queen offsuit. I can definitely 3-bet this, but I will mix in some calls here because I'm closing action. There's no huge incentive to try to steal the $10 that's in the pot. And a lot of times when you spike top pair or a straight or 2-pair, it's really disguised because it didn't get 3-bet. I end up tossing in the call. We're off to see a flop. Flop is queen king 5, giving a second pair. I check it over, as I'm going to do with pretty much my entire range, and my opponent bets $10. Small bet. I'm just going to make the call here. I have second pair. He's going to have plenty of kings. He's in early position when he raises. So we're not ready to get out of line. Turn is an ace. So now we've improved greatly. I check it over to him because, again, I'm still going to have a lot of checks in this spot. He bets $10 again, which looks really weak. I'm going to raise it up to $45. Now I'm expecting him to just call here, but he makes a very unusual raise to $90. So he min clicks it. And I'm trying to think, this is where I really my brain starts to smoke. What wants to go $10, $10, $10, get check raised, and then min click it to 90? It's really hard to identify a lot of hands. There's a club draw on board, but does a club draw want to min click? Probably not. It probably wants to go bigger. There's some 2-pair combos. I have one of them. There's one that's better than ours, one that's worse than ours. Really tough spot to be in. There are some straights. I don't think he's going to play a straight the way that he did, though it is possible. He would be open-ended. Then maybe if he turns the straight, try to like induce the raise by betting $10 again. Really hard to say where I'm at. Some people said you could fold this. Some people said go for the raise again. Some people said just call. Most people said just call. That's what I ended up doing. I just felt like for the price, for the $45, if I'm folding this, I'm kind of over folding. So at this point, I'm just going to go with MDF, or minimum defense frequency, which I'm not going to get into right now, but basically I'm determining what portion of my range I should be defending with. 2-pair is too strong for me to be folding for this price. I'm going to make the call. My live tendency read says I might be smoked here. This might be a really bad spot. This would be a great spot for an outside source to just step in and tell me how things are. Is it good news? Is it bad news? I need to know.
Tracy, you are going to die.
What? No!
When I tell you who I'm dating, Squeaky Fromm. She is difficult. Anywho, I have the results of your physical. Tracy, you are going to die.
What? No!
You have no reflexes, your blood tastes like root beer, and some of your bones appear to have vanished.
River is another queen. So now I'm bailed out from quite a few combinations that I was losing to. I'm still beating the king-queen combo. The only things I'm really losing to are aces and kings full of queens. Because of that, I'm feeling pretty good about where I'm at. I don't think my opponent would have played either of those sets this way, and so I don't think he's going to have a better boat here. I don't want to check this spot. If I check, my opponent is going to have an incentive to check back with a lot of his combinations, even his 2 pairs, that he might have felt really good about on the turn. So I decide to go ahead and bet the rest of his stack, betting $200 here. My opponent thinks about it for a little bit, but ultimately decides he's going to fold. He shows me king jack of clubs. I don't like this play from him. I mean, I do because I got more chips, but it's really tough when my opponent raises for him to be ahead of anything that's going to call him, and he's min clicking it. So he's making the price right for a lot of things to stick around and call. Also, I mean, occasionally he's just going to get jammed on by a better hand. So you're just giving up a lot of equity potentially when you go for that min click, and you're usually behind whatever's raising you. So probably not a great play by my opponent there on the turn, but I'll take it. It meant more chips into my stack. Okay, that's the hand as it played. Tell me what you would have done, because there's a lot of ways you could have taken that hand. Tell me in the comments down below. Let's get on to the next one. All right, guys, this one, I'm not proud of it. I'm really not, but I have to share it with you. It was the most interesting hand of the session, by far. I've given you the table description. That's in my head. I'm the straddle again for this one. It goes around to the button. He makes it 16, really small. I've got a straddle on for $6. Button makes it 16. There's a call in between us in the blinds. I have 10 deuce of diamonds. This hand would normally go in the muck. The only reason I'm making the call here is because the table is so passive that if I make like anything that has any equity at all and they show any amount of weakness, I think I can just steal chips here. So I go ahead and toss in $10. Let's go to a flop. And also occasionally you're just going to get dumb lucky and flop 10 deuce or deuce deuce or something like that, and just be able to scoop up a bunch of chips with a very disguised hand. So we're off to the flop. 9-8 deuce with 2 clubs. This isn't a super great flop for anyone necessarily given the action up to this point, but let's see what happens. It checks to me. I'm going to check it over to the button, and the button decides to bet $30. This is a fairly meaty bet for where we're at, but I have a 2. I do have a backdoor straight draw, and again, the aggression has been working. So blind makes the call. I decide to make the call. Let's see if we can get like a scare card. Let's see what happens on the turn. Turn is the jack of spades. Now, the small blind announces a check. It gets over to me, and before I can act at all, The button sincerely says check. So he's out of turn, acting already, but not like in a fake way. I don't think he's trying to scam me. I think he truly was checking. I'm like, okay, there's the weakness I wanted. Let's go ahead and push. He has like $300 left at this point. I make it $100 to go, like telling him, hey, it's going to get serious, right? And my range here has a bunch of really strong hands. I have lots of sets. I have lots of two pairs. I have the straights. I have all kinds of things that are uncomfortable for a pre-flop raiser. However, he does make the call of $100. He's got 200 left, and the small blind makes the fold. Now we get to the river. It's another jack. Beautiful card, right? He bet something on the flop. Maybe he had a 9. Maybe he had an overpair, whatever. This jack and me not being scared looks super strong. So I go ahead and I rip it. I put it all in, and he snap calls. No! All day I've been counting on this, right? I'm counting on the aggression to work, but he snap calls. However, after he snap calls, he says, wait. And he looks down, he turns up his cards. He has ace, queen, thought he had a jack. Oh my goodness. My pair of twos is going to be scooping this entire gigantic pot. Now, at a moment I'm extremely proud of.
Anthony, open jumper. Won't go. Rebound tipped. Taken by Decker, and Decker's got a clear pass. Oh, he falls down.
But regardless, all the chips are coming my way, and I end up booking a nice win on this session that makes up for yesterday and then some. The two short sessions combined for a win of $138, totally undeserved. But hey, we have some money to give away, and we have some camp scholarships to give away. It's about $300 to send a kid to camp. We got to send 2 kids to camp. Really stoked about that. That's all coming up soon. They're going to be signing up. So this will be kind of the end of the camp fundraiser. We'll see. Maybe there's something else we want to fundraise towards next. I'll think on that one. But in the meantime, we've got some money to give away. I know it's a smaller win than normal. $14 is the 10% of our win here. Rounded up, it's $138. Wasn't going to give you $13.80. $14 giveaway. It's going to bring total giveaways on this channel up to $3,099. If you're not familiar, for $5 a month, when you support this channel, you get access to all of the trades and all the investment information that I have. And I'm going to give you the kind of pull back the curtain and tell you everything I'm doing there. Plus, you're entered to win. Whenever I win, I give away 10% of my winnings to the Patreon community on the Wheel of Cash. It's money for homies. Let's spin that wheel and choose a winner. Congratulations, $14 coming your way. Thanks for being here. Have a great week. Hope you really enjoyed this. If you did, like it and sub it, and I'll talk to you in the next one.
Queen looking Tyson. Do that, I survived, doing 80 to the house. Then I hit her to the sky, changed haters on a tirade. Talking to their crib in the face, be still.